Really no off smell. There was some water from ice that was in its cavity. You can see the cavity is still a little bloody, but I wanted to at least show you it has been gutted for the most part. And we'll see, we won't even touch most of that. Scaling it came scaled. But if it wasn't scaled, I would have gone over to the sinks over there, not here. Would have gone over to the sinks over there, and on the back of my knife, run across, and scales literally fly off. It makes a mess. It does. But for the most part, almost all the scales are off. So as I just told you, I'm going to cut this up slightly different than the way that gentleman did, and keep in mind I am left-handed, so I do things a little bit backwards to some. But the way I approach it, first step or so is very much the same way. I go right in under the fin, right after, oh, I meant to show you gills. Red gills, not gray or brown. Tells you freshness as well. But I mentioned when we were doing flatfish, there's a collar there. You can almost feel the collar, and you pull it away right there. So that almost tells you where your knife's going to go. It's going to go right behind it. And just like that gentleman did, I'm going to try to get as close to that head as possible, and then underneath that fin. But what I did is I stopped when I hit that backbone, the spine. I didn't push any harder, because once you have done that, I'll show you guys, opened up. Once you have done that, you literally start breaking ribs. I turn my knife, and right above the backbone, come on now, can't get a good hold of it. Yeah, right above the backbone, I break. You hear bones breaking the whole way. I keep my knife angled down, and I shouldn't be stopping, because you want to make smooth strokes, just so you know. You want to make smooth strokes. I'm going to have what I call a bump right there where I stop. He kept the fish that way and kept going. That's where I differ. I flip this baby over and do the same thing on the other side. I find it personally a little easier, because you can see what it is that you're doing. Same thing. Now, you'll notice as I did this, guys, that top dorsal fin will choose one side or the other. It's very rarely are you cutting that. Oh, goodness. Very rarely are you cutting that in half. It's going to choose a side. Just like if you go down the center of a chicken breast, you very rarely go right through the keel bone. Your knife will choose a side. Yeah. So, same thing. Now there is usable meat on here. His video, he got slightly more off, but I'm used to cutting it down this way because of my experience. I think grab everything. There we go. Because from my experience, get out a spoon. These become your salmon cakes. In the sushi world, it becomes your spicy salmon roll. For instance, today I'm going to let you guys do what you want with them, with this meat. Yep, and I'm going to get a little bit off both sides. In fact, I'm going to get almost an extra pound. Plus, there's still meat up in this cheek, what they call cheek area, which I'm used to getting out as well, which is a matter of just digging your spoon in and pulling that out. Now you guys, while you're producing today, well, you're producing, I'm going to turn this carcass into fish head soup. Anyone ever had fish head soup?
Mm-hmm. Somebody not good?
No, you're going to love it. And I will use a little, but not too much of that.
Yeah, shut him off.
So, for me, this carcass is completely usable. You also see that nice shininess to all of this meat, because that's the fatty content. Again, the good fat. The good fat. Let me this way. All right. Going back to that video, the way this next step, I'm doing a little slightly different as well. I think I'll mess with this piece because it has the fins on it. We've got 2 sets of bones, one of which is going to get cut out. What I call rib bones are right here underneath the skin, or underneath these silver lining, this fatty membrane. This is all really nice and tough. You do cut it off. To me, it's more of a shave than anything else. And then the second set of bones, you can see one popping out right here, start right in the neck area, and they'll go about midway down and then stop. You'll see there won't be any more. These are the ones he was plucking out. So that's why you see I got some fishbone tweezers here. So these get cut out, these get pulled out. Some people skin it first. I'll cut these off, then skin it, then take what they call pin bones out with the tweezers. So again, I'm flipping around, I'm left-handed. So this, I find where the bones start, because you can feel them right here. And I'm going to go right underneath the bone. And I'm going to shave, this time not angling my knife towards the meat, angling my knife towards this fatty membrane. See, and just kind of almost shave it off. I use it, I equivalent it to the similar technique as what you guys were doing when you were taking the flatfish fillets off the carcass. It's that kind of motion. And since this had the fin, he went straight across and just cut all these fins off. You don't necessarily have to do that. I always find where it is and just try to go around it, is what I do. You can see you can keep a lot of usable meat on there instead of just going straight. And we got fins on this side, which you can go in and cut off now. But I have found that they typically will come off when you take the skin off. So, sorry I switched it around on you. You guys can't see. Let me do this in front of you. Sorry. There's this nice fatty part. You can almost separate it with your finger. And then it's all up in there, because this is all the connective tissue for that fin. I'm just literally running my finger across that. In the video, he took this chunk of meat off. see it almost is coming off. You can also see our first bruise. That is a bruise. Little discoloring right there, but that definitely is a bruise. I'm going to go ahead, since this is almost coming off, I'm going to go ahead and take it off and throw it into this mix. And now that I did that with my finger, and you could do it with your knife, it makes the skin a whole lot easier to get off. So what I'm going to do is push down with the tip of my knife. And literally just cut all of that fatty part off. Now I will literally skin it and flip it back around. Same principle as what we did with the flatfish. You want to start at the tail and just get it started. Angle it towards your slicer, angle it towards your cutting board. Get a good firm hold of it. And I usually, with big fish, follow my hand underneath it and keep that all down. This knife needs to be sharpened. I'm used to that going through like butter. But fairly clean. If you leave a bunch of meat on there, same principle goes. You can go in and scrape it off. It comes off. That's if you leave a bunch on the skin. I'm going to keep the skin because it's scaled. Because I'm going to toast it off. You guys should try it. Saltwater chips. Hey, salmon skin rolls popular sushi roll.
It's one of my very first job ever at 14 with the fishery.
Mm-hmm.
And when you talk about the scales, they had a room where they would descale it or scale it.
It's like,
Walls,
yeah.
ceiling, floor, everywhere.
Now I only got the water for it. It helps take the bones off the tweezers. Just I go in now. And the way I'm going to do this, is I'm going to find the bone first. And instead of grabbing any meat, I'm going to grab just the tip of the bone. And with my other finger, I surround around, and you won't get a tear in it. So, yeah. And I'll do 2 or 3 at a time until the tweezers can't handle it. Sorry, my hand's covering what I'm doing, but just grabbing the tip. And they pull right on out. Fish have pin bones. I grabbed a little meat there. Fish have pin bones, but not all of them come out like this. We'll deal with some fish next week where instead of pulling them out, we're going to do what you probably have seen on frozen fish fillets, and that's what they call a V-cut, where particularly you see it done on tilapia, red snapper, and then right in here they stop. They just stop. So the V-cut, as you'll see next week, instead of going in with tweezers and cut and poking them out, you make a cut on both sides and cut out a strip of bones. And that's why you always see fillets with that V in it. The bones have been cut out. So, going ahead and doing fillets of this, I got some fatty part here that will probably need to be trimmed off. But moving forward here, same thing goes as far as how you want to butcher this. I've seen chefs just go straight up and down 90-degree angles. And I've also seen chefs go on the bias. I have so much sushi experience, they rarely do either. In the sushi world, they'll go right down the middle and cut what they call saku blocks, which are more rectangle pieces, is what they'll do. But we're not doing sushi today, we're doing scallopé, which, what does that mean? A scallopé.
It's a slice of the cut at an angle.
Yes, slice of a cut on an angle. So you can actually take, for instance, let me just make a cut. Let me flip it around, sorry. You can make a cut, call that your fillet, but to turn it into a scallopé is to actually, one more time. You might get one more out of that, possibly. No, I'm not going to mess with that. So you got two escalopes, and that's just from one piece. Keep with that theme. On the bias, it's curved. This will be the same thing. I'm going to turn this into a escalope, which is just going to be bone. No. Which is going to be just a thinner cut on the bias again. Against the grain, that's another thing. So, however is easiest, I'm going to approach it from the bottom and go like this, because I'm left-handed. And you got your escalope. That one's much thinner. Layer of fat, that will dissolve under heat, so I usually keep that on. That'll render. Straight up and down 90-degree cut. I'm going to have one angled and one end knocked. But something like this would be, that's a good 10 ounce piece of salmon. Something like this would be sold for around 30 bucks. If you have something right there. Feel part of the rib. It should have come out. Should have come out with this piece and it didn't. So you can feel the bones. So again, portion size. Boom. Much thicker. Tapers off much thinner. You're going to get that with every solitary piece. Every one, unless you square it up. And I don't want to do that. That creates more waste. So the way you square it up is you literally take the tapered ends and cut it off and have another use for it, which I don't want to do. Make sense? So, see, I feel another one. One more. So, we run two groups doing two recipes. There's 4 escalopes. I'll even throw a 5th one in there, so that could be classified. And then for the pan fried, I'm going to cut a little bit different. Now that I've got a 90-degree angle there, I'm going to keep with this 90-degree angle theme. And because I'm cutting these in smaller portions, something like this is going to be cut in half, almost where you should be cutting it. You see, almost tells you where you should be cutting it, right there. So now I say that 5. I'm going to call that 3. This will give me my 2 more to make 5 and 5. You leave any part of the skin on, which it looks like I did. I got so close, a little bit's hanging on it. Depending on how close you are, you might just be able to peel it off. Same thing. So, saute.